You are live. Hey guys, this is Jake from jcalebdesign, and we are live on through StreamYard on Facebook and on YouTube. As far as I can tell, if everything's done right. I hope my voice is coming in well. If it's not, let me know. I've got a new microphone right here that should be picking me up clearly and easily. But if it's not, just comment in the section below, and I'll see. I'll check it out and try and adjust my mic. But hopefully, I'm coming in all right. So, all right. Well, tonight we are going. It's good. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. It doesn't tell me who that is that said that, but I appreciate you doing it. And now I know. All right. So we are going to be working in DAZ tonight, and I'm going to pull up my DAZ Pro build. I actually have two versions of DAZ operating. The Pro version or the regular 4.14. I haven't upgraded to 4.15 yet. I usually wait on those. I have the 4.14 Pro and then the public build of 4.14. I run them both at the same time. It's not generally recommended to do that, but my machine is robust enough to handle DAZ on two different instances and render with DAZ two at a time. So it does cut down on my turnaround time for renders. But I have both of them up, but my Pro version is what I'm working in tonight. I looked at my characters the other day, and this Kajir guy, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but I really liked his attitude and demeanor and his bulky body. And tonight we're going to be working with a sci-fi character that I kind of had in mind, kind of like a commander, captain of a kind of like a brigade of sci-fi soldiers. And I really liked this guy's body build, and also, like I said, I liked his face when it kind of started rendered out. The textures he has look really nice. So I'm just going to start working and talk while I'm working and explain what I'm doing. I'm going to be importing some assets that weren't in DAZ into DAZ. You'll see me convert some things over so that I can get it in DAZ properly. So you might learn a tip or trick there. Also, those things will be texturing them a little bit here inside DAZ so that I can put some textures on them and get them kind of where they match up with the rest of the character. And so let's get started. So like I said, the name of this project is called Hell Dogs. And I kind of had this idea of this character who was a captain of a band of sci-fi soldiers, whether they were, on Earth or whether they were wherever. And he was kind of like just rough and tough, get punched in the face, smile about it, doesn't care. Kind of like Dutch a little bit from Predator, if you remember that movie. I really like Dutch's attitude. And I'm going to put a cigar in this guy's mouth here in just a minute, and that's definitely inspired from Dutch. So anyways, like I said, that was my idea, and I kind of want the lighting on his face to be kind of dynamic. In my mind, the pre-made, he's going to end up taking up most of the cover. Like it's going to be him, because in my mind, the story would focus on him as a captain and them being against some sort of Spartan type odds and that kind of thing. So I'm going to pick a bodysuit here. Doesn't really matter. The suit's going to end up being kind of the full bodysuit will end up being kind of a secondary thing in terms of image information, but just something to get us going. I want to do some armor. I have some armor assets here that get used a good bit in other DAZ renders of mine and other people's. But there's a couple that are on DAZ you can use. This tactical assault outfit is real good. There's also another one that people like to use with sci-fi soldiers is the Atlas armored suit. Both of them are fantastic suits, and I'm going to probably pick a little bit of the tactical assault suit here, just because I do like the chest plate that comes with it. It's nice. It's nice and bulky. Neck guard. And right now, at this point in the process, when I'm doing this type of design or getting ready to do a book cover, I'm thinking to myself, I'm making this character and I want him to look cool. I want him to look a little bit diverse. I don't want to just typically use a set outfit. So like where you can click here, you can click complete a set and it'll put all of it on him. I don't usually do that. I usually like to kind of kit batch them together just so they get a little bit of difference, a little bit of variation than what you might normally see on a where somebody just pulls it off the shelf and uses it. Here's another great set of armor, the expansive ape suit. And I'm going to pull some pieces of it. I'm going to put the boots on him. You probably won't see. We're not going to see his boots probably, at least in my mind. We won't see them. Let's see. Anybody? Yeah, his head looks too. His head is too small. Body too bulked up. Yeah, sure. That's okay. It looks fine to me. He's a big bulky guy. Right now, everything looks okay. And the more I do things, the more we'll see how it comes together. And if at the end of the day his head looks too small or too big, I can always Photoshop fix that. But right now, he's got the demeanor that I'm looking for. All right, we're gonna put some shoes on him. Let me turn off the aspect frame so you can kind of see the whole thing as I'm doing it. I'm gonna throw some gloves on him. Let's see. The Atlas Armored Suit gloves are really good. I do use them a good bit. They've got a lot of good detail, and they just look really. They look graphically pretty cool. So, all right, this is coming along. I think for as far as hair, he'd probably end up having very a shaved head type thing where he's not. The hair is close cropped, like a Marine. So. We'll go with that. I got this guy's hair, this military cut. Let's try that out. And a lot of times when I'm working in DAZ with this first type of, with the creation of a character for a cover, it's really just the initial, just mess around with things to try and create unique looking characters. I mean, I don't really, oftentimes I don't go into it with an exact idea in mind. It's more of just kind of a loose detail. I just kind of feel my way through it as I go, adding things, taking things away, that kind of stuff. All right. I think his hair, it's brown, it's blonde, or dark. It's all right. His pose, I'm not too worried about right now because it's going to kind of be a stoic after battle type pose, possibly, or before battle. I'm not sure. So right now, I'm not really worried about him standing in any particular way. Let's look up some Genesis 3 people here. If you didn't know it, in DAZ, you can take Genesis 3 items and put them on Genesis 8 items, and vice versa. You don't always get a complete transfer over. Doesn't always do right all the time, but a lot of times you can do that. And so you can kind of get extra mileage out of your assets if you're using a Genesis 3 figure or if you're using the Genesis 8 figure. So I've got this guy here. He's standing ominously behind him now. But I just want to pull him up so I can kind of really go through my Genesis 3 figures pretty quickly and see what's available. This suit here for Genesis 3, which is an older suit, it's got a lot of great pieces to it. I do like his forearm armor, which would go over my gloves. We'll do that. And the auto fit pops up and you just select the character it came from. And sometimes you'll have the option to pick gloves, or depending on the item, you can sometimes pick the exact item and it gets to know what item it is so that it can fit it better. Very rarely do I see it pop up when I'm going from a Genesis 3 to a Genesis 8. So I just choose full body and hit accept. By and large, most of the time, hey baby doll. Most of the time it does a pretty good job if you just choose full body. My computer a second here to catch up. And if at any point during this, if you have a question, please let me know, and I will do my best to answer it if I can. I'm going to hide Corbin here. That looks all right. I like the shape of those gloves that I liked earlier from the Atlas gloves. I no longer need. And see, like I told you, this is just a process of piddle around with it, change things, add things, and kind of go from there. I do like his bodysuit as well. I'm going to click it and just see what it looks like. right, let's see what this looks like. We'll hide the original ape undersuit. I like the ridges and stuff that you get there. Let's throw some light on it and see what it looks like. I'm going to just pick a quick environment. That's it. All right. Looking for a quick environment. Just an environment lighting with HDR. The Battlefield one is the one I typically use right here. Battleground. I use this one a good bit. And you'll see when I click this, it adds these two things over here, Uber environment, and then distant light one. What it's done is it's added some environmental light. And to get a good look at that, you can click this. I guess looks like a kind of a billiard ball. I'm not sure. I don't know the technical terms, but you click that ball and you can go down to the NVIDIA iRay, and your viewport will quickly render out the lights it's doing. And then you know what? Sometimes DAZ will cut off on you, and it will encounter a fatal flaw. And that's why you save early and you save often, guys. All right. I've got another DAZ already opened up. My pro build's still up. my beta public version is still up. Let me click through here real quick, and I'll open my original DAZ back up. I know where I'm going, so I should be able to get there really quickly. But this is a great example. Save early, save often, and you won't run into this issue. All right. This guy here, I don't need him with body hair. No body hair. He's as slick as a baby's bottom. All right. And plus, I'm streaming and using the render port and DAZ all at one time, which might cause a little bit of strain in my computer, but it really shouldn't. It should be able to handle it pretty decently. Let's see. Now I can't remember the name of that outfit. I wanted to put that full bodysuit on him. Let's pull this guy up here. He's a Genesis 3 character. You can tell Genesis 3s by their pose. It's a T pose versus an A pose, in case you're ever curious about that. All right. Full body. Right there it is. Bam. Double click on it. Going to be a Genesis, going from a Genesis 3 to a Genesis 8 full body. And I'm going to keep Dante 7, this figure, up in case I want to go back to any of the Genesis 3 things. I am going to put those arms on him real fast, and then we'll go back to the Genesis 8. And then I'm going to start pulling in some assets from outside of DAZ. All right. Looking for gloves. And you may be wondering, with me doing this, that I will have a mishmash of textures for these gloves here. You can tell they're blue with some yellow on them. Some of the other assets will be different colors. That's okay. That can be fixed here in DAZ sometimes, and that can also be fixed in Photoshop with paint overs and that kind of stuff. It's a pretty simple process for the cloning or changing colors and hues and that kind of thing. But all right, and we want to compare and contrast. Let's save this guy. We're going to compare those two suits. Pull that other one up. It was right there. All right. Was that it? Yeah, it was. I can't remember. You keep doing so much, looking at so many things, you just forget. That was not it. It was not the ape suit. I had a different one. Was it the ant suit? So many options. I have a lot of DAZ assets. It was ants. The ants armored nanotech suit. Also another good set of sci-fi armor. And okay, we're gonna file save this. And now I should be able to add my lights back from the environment. And The battleground A to Z should be B right there. All right. Now, file and save in case it cuts off. One of the updates they had with 4.14 is the environment section doesn't always pop up right here. And it can be annoying when that happens. When that happens, if you don't see it, you can go to create new environment options node, and it will pop up over here in your scene, and then it will pop up over here. And the HDRI environment lighting that I use from the battleground asset pack, it loads in the the dome, or the HDRI, however you want to say it, or it loads it in as off, so you get this nice transparent background. You don't have any skies that are you have to look at, and I'll show you that in a second. So we're going to choose the NVIDIA array, and hopefully it's not going to cut off this time. Everybody hold your breath. Oh, there it goes. All right. So there's that suit. This is the ant suit with the full body armor. And again, this suit's not going to be that big a deal, but we've got time. Let's put it around and look at it here. I'm going to hide the one and show the other one. That one looks a bit more graphic. I actually kind of like that look. He's got abs. So we'll stick with that one. All right, I'm going to click this back off. And we're going to go down and pull that armor that we chose from the Tactical Assault Pack. His chest plate and neck plate. I like that. I like it when you start adding things like that kind of armor to the neck, where it kind of bulks it up. It makes the guy look bigger, more imposing to me. I do like these Tactical Assault shoulder guards, and I'm going to add something akin to that in just a minute. But I'm going to make my own, and you'll see that. All right. Throw them on some boots. I don't know about them boots. It won't really matter. You won't really see the boots when it's all said and done. All right. So, and the last thing we had was hair. Just add that hair real fast back in, and we'll be back to where I want to be at. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience of this thing cutting off. But that happens, man. Let's see. I think half the time I spend looking for the icon to pull up the asset I want. All right, there, military cut. Yeah. All right. We want to turn his hair dark. Top. Oh, right there. Yeah, there we go. File save. All right. I'm gonna check back on the stream, see if anybody's asking questions. Yeah, Dad's frustrations. That is exactly right. All right. So we got our guy. Now we're going to pull in some assets from Blender, or they weren't from Blender, but they're going to end up being in Blender. You can buy assets from anywhere that does 3D modeling, CG Trader, Turbo Squid, Renderosity. With CG Trader and Turbo Squid, you have to import them yourself. Whereas like DAZ auto imports for you, and it's already there for you to look at and look pretty. Renderosity is a couple extra steps where you have to copy folders to one to the other. But once you do it a couple times, you get the hang of it. It's not that complicated. It's just putting folders in certain places. But with CG Tray or Turbo Squid, you're starting getting into the big 3D world where you're using, C4D, you're using Maya, Unreal Engine. You're using things that are well past DAZ's capabilities. Or what, they're just well past what if you only use DAZ that you're used to. And so there's extra steps involved in getting some of those items in. Sometimes it deals with the file type. Sometimes it deals with the type of item it is. What kind of asset is it? It is static assets. In my experience, work best. So like spaceships, guns, you can start getting into structures like houses and cities and that kind of thing. You start running into a lot of texture issues there, but it can be done. It's a pain in the butt. But simple static stuff, I guess, would be the thing to do. So, possibly cars, small items. The assets I'm going to use, I picked up from CG Trader, and they're a mech kit bash set, and I want to use pieces of that mech for my guy's armor. So I'm going to go file. I'm going to import it. It's a FBX file. Typically, the ones that do best are FBX or OBJs, wavefronts, and FBX do well. Collada does really well, which is what we're going to be converting the file to in just a minute. But we're going to just standard, kind of universal, like JPEG's universal. FBX, OBJs are more universal than a DAZ file or something like that. So if you get an OBJ or an FBX file, chances are you can get it into DAZ and maybe get something to work out of it, depending on the complexity of the piece. Okay, did you get all that? If I'm confusing, I'm sorry. If there's any clarification, just please ask me, and I'll do my best to explain it out the best I can. I would never claim to be somebody who knows everything about it or knows, all the ins and outs of DAZ or any 3D software for that matter. The Mech Warrior Build Kit, this is the one I bought the other day. And I've already got my items. I've already got my kits converted, but I'm going to go through the process of one just to show you how the part goes. So I'm in Blender. Blender's free. If I import this, all right, so we'll see here, kit 09, part 09, FBX. I want to import that kit into DAZ. So if I'm in DAZ now with this fella here, then I'm going to do just a straight import from that file. So I go to my 3D file, CG Trader. I find my mech build kit. You can't import Max. FBX file has to be used. Kit 09, part 09. That's the one we're clicking on. So hit open. It gives me this. You really don't have a lot of options for the import options. Hit accept. It'll take it a minute to figure out the file. And if it does like it did yesterday, it's a bit of a mess with everything everywhere. And so it makes it just a big haggle to deal with. So give my computer a second to catch up with us. Because it's a decent size file. And also me streaming. So while it's doing that, check and see if there's any comments, questions, or concerns. All right. So how's everybody doing tonight? For a Tuesday, it's 10:30 my time. It normally doesn't take this long to import, and I'm going to assume it's because I'm streaming. Come on, man. There we go. We are imported in. All right, so you can see it import all these items in individually, which is great because this kit is, an assortment of different armor sizes and shapes and, different just ornaments. And so it's import all of them in, and you can see they didn't show up on my screen. And I try and find them, and see it says it's over there, right there. But it's actually right there at this guy's feet. And they're all stacked together. These have no texture, so they'll be white. Or, sometimes they don't appear white, but they'll be probably white. But there's no texture here, and they're all just kind of together. And my node is way over there, so I can take and pull them. I can pull each one out like this. But then I got to sort these things out and figure out the ones I want to use, what I don't want to use, because this kit set that I bought has like 500 or 490 unique objects in it. And so this is just awful. So we don't want to do that. So you see what happens here when I open this FBX in DAZ, straight to DAZ. And you can see that it does not work. Sometimes they do. It's worth a shot. And sometimes they don't. So back to Blender. And I'm kit 09, part 09. Going to hit import here into Blender. It's going to place them down here in the center of this, in the center, the 0 point of the grid. Give them a second to do it. It'll be here in a minute. Well, maybe don't. I hit the input button. Maybe it thought I hit the button to import. There it comes. Here we go. Yep. You can see it made them really, really small right here. And if I export the file now as a collada, which is what I'm about to do, it would put it in DAZ in that same scale, which is really small. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to highlight all these items in Blender. I'm going to just click scale. And I'm going to make them big. And that's it. Easy peasy. I don't know a lot about Blender. I'm still working in it. Still very, very much a novice in it. But just like that, you know, scale right over here, make it real big. And now I'm ready to get back out of Blender. So file, export as a collada. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. I'm going to name it. I've got my Hell Dog folder here. And you can see where I've already tested. I've already got some armor groups ready to go. And we're going to call this armor group stream. Just because this is the armor group I'm saving during the stream. Export as a collada. It reminds me of pina coladas. If you like pina coladas. All right. All right. So now back to DAZ. File, import. And on my desktop, Hell Dogs. There is my armor group stream. And give it a second. Yeah, I'm definitely a Blender novice. That's one of the programs that I'm going to try this year for 2021 to get better at and get more in depth at, because you can do a lot more with it. I want to try and integrate DAZ with Blender more. I do that now. Sometimes I can set up rudimentary scenes in Blender, whether it be a cityscape or a fantasy shot or some sort of, you know, something like that. But I'm still a novice with lighting and the texture application there, and a host of other elements. Blender is a fantastic program. And I do recommend, if you do DAZ, to look into getting Blender. It's free, and there's tons of free tutorials out there to teach you how to use it. And it can only improve your rendering skills in DAZ and also in Blender. Like I said, this makes you a better all-around 3D artist if you're the more you know about it, those kind of programs. All right, here we go. And see, now it's put all these files in here. I mean, these objects in here, all pretty lined up in a row. And if you remember, I scaled them down up because in Blender they were so small. So I scaled them up, and here we go. They came in at the right scale they needed to be. For the most part, most of these elements I don't need. And the one big thing about this, they all come in individual. So I can take and move each individual piece. That might not seem like a big deal, but sometimes that doesn't happen with, especially with OBJ files. Oftentimes it puts them in as a big group, and you can't get it apart when it comes into DAZ. And so that's just something to keep in mind when you're importing things in. But here we go. I've got my files. I don't need half of these. I really just want to focus on some armor, just some armor aspects. I'm going to go ahead and hold the shift button down and create a group here just to get these things a little bit more organized versus being loose on my scene panel. All right. Yeah, like I said, we talked earlier about those shoulder pads, and I wanted to do some kind of shoulder pads. These might be too bulky. And going back to what I said earlier, this is a lot of just trial and error, just picking things, trying them out, seeing how they look, seeing if I like them or not, and then going back to something else. But I do like bulky shoulders, man. I've always liked bulky stuff like Warhammer. I think Gears of War has a little bit of bulky armor up here near the shoulders. Any kind of knights, fantasy stuff, when they got I don't know, I just like the bulky shoulders. It makes them seem tough and kind of like tanks, which is kind of what I want this guy to be. I do like that. Okay, I think it's a bit rounded. I would like a little bit more detail in it. And I'm only going to do this left arm right now, and I will finish it up later because I don't want to spend the whole time trying to line up two sides and make you guys watch me do that, because that would probably be kind of boring. I like this piece. It's too big. I wonder if I can kind of marry these two together. Kind of like a cap. Let's see. Yeah. Kit bash detail 146 and 150. If you want to put two pieces together, something like that in DAZ, you can take and just drag it down, and it'll parent it to it. So now when I move the big piece, it moves the whole entire thing. And then if I scale, the scale stays in proportion, and the two pieces stay together. I like that. I'm going to size it a little bit down, just a little bit more. I'm going to adjust my X scale. I don't think it needs to go high or tall. And there might be an ugly bit or two where we have a collision issue, like right there. You see how it's overlapping his outfit. That's okay. Another reason why I haven't done his pose yet is because I am going to be adding this armor. And it's easier to add the armor with him in a static pose versus him being in a dynamic pose. Because what I can do now is I can now parent this item set to his shoulder, his left shoulder. So we're going to scroll up. I'll show you how to do that real quick. We're going to scroll up here to Kajir, hold down this. We're going to go to left shoulder bend, and I'm going to drop it. And now I have parented these two items to his left shoulder. So when I do put a pose in, let's grab one real quick. Full body. Doesn't really matter. I don't really care. One is going to look halfway decent. Let's do that right there. Him standing with his arms on his hips. When I do that, that's going to stay in the same spot. See, it moves with it, and it sticks with it. And if I do, let's say, hit the, guns up kind of pose, it's going to adjust with the shoulder and stay with the shoulder. And I don't have to keep trying to adjust that. So that's another reason why I'm going to keep him in the A pose, so that when I get his one area laid out, which is this right here, I can do this right shoulder really easy. I don't have to try and match and twist it to get it to fit correctly each time and in each element. Okay, I like that. All right. Let's see. One thing I do like is, like I said, I like collars. I like the big shoulders. And I'm going to add a collar in here. Let's see. I don't like any of these. That's a nice little piece of armor right there. I'm going to grab a couple of these pieces out, and then I'm going to delete this set. Because if you remember me earlier saying that I had already converted some other files over to Collada so I could import them. I've got some more in there that I want to look at as well. So I'm going to go through real quick and delete some of these out. I like this one piece here. I'm going to pull it out of the folder. out of the group. I do like these two spear-like elements. I'm going to pull them out of the group. I don't want to parent them. I'm just going to pull it out. Okay. And I like that piece there. And I like that piece there. So I'm going to pull these out real fast. And I'm going to delete this group. So I got some pieces I like. I don't need to mess with them right now. Let's go ahead and click through and hide them. And I'm going to import another armor group. I can't remember what they look. Well, I can't remember what ones were which ones, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just going to be just some good looking armor that I need to put on here. All right, collar. That's it right there. That's my collar. Oh, it's not in the group. There you go. I'll grab this. I'm gonna pull it over. Put it up here. What I like doing is I like these kind of stiff looking collar rings. They kind of have I think they give another cool element. Makes it look kind of bulky. Again, makes them look more imposing. And also, I like the fact that I'm going to go in and put an emissive or a light in it in just a minute, and it'll light up the back of his neck, which will look really cool when we start doing our texture in here in just a few minutes. All right. I don't want to keep y'all forever, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this part in, and then we're going to do some texturing, so you guys can kind of see. So you guys kind of see the whole a good scope of DAZ and what you can do inside of it. All right, this is the collar that I want to put some light on, and it's a bit of a square collar. I might like it if it was a little bit more rounded. And I may have one somewhere that's more rounded, but it's okay. For tonight, this is great. Let's see. Parameters. I want to hide this one. Maybe this will be my collar. I could do maybe a dual type. Oops. Grab the wrong node. That's all right. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. So let's take it and we're going to duplicate node hierarchies. That gives me 2 of them. And this probably won't be exactly circular around him, but as long as I'm pretty much in the right spot, at the end of the day, it won't make that big of a detail. Too much. All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's just focus on this, and then we'll do some lighting, and you guys can kind of see that. All right. So let's texture out these 2 things. All right, adding textures in DAZ, pretty easy once you figure it out. The way you do, and you can do this with any item. You can do this with his tactical assault plate. You can do this with whatever. I'm going to save this file real quick and show you what we have now, and then you can kind of see where we go from there. But so we've got these armors here, these pieces here that don't have a texture. So when I go to the array screen, the viewport renders it. It's going to be white or some color like that. It should be white. Okay, see, we got white. So it really doesn't have any kind of look to it at all that we like, obviously. So I'm going to select this one here, and you can see when you select it, it selects it here in your scene window. But over here, you don't have any options really. If you go down to surfaces, This took me like a year to figure out. You go down to surfaces and you click it one more time. You click the actual item again. So you've already got it selected, but you select it one more time. You'll notice you get more options over here, and your shaders come up. And since I render an array, most people render an array. You go to the array tab, and I'm going to look for some metal. And I'll switch over to my product tab so you can kind of see. So shaders, array, metal, and it loads all the metal array, all the metal shaders I have available, and which I've got a decent amount to choose from and play with. So let's pick, what's it? I got tactical shaders. Some of these metal ones aren't the best in the world. And then it just cuts off. And there we go, folks. This is happening because of the fact that I'm streaming. So that's okay. It should open up pretty quick. And I think I saved it before I done that array viewport, so I should be all right. So give Daz one more second to open up real fast. Yeah. Load up my Hell Dogs file. And you'll have a lot of DAZ crashes when you start using that array viewport, because it's trying to convert a lot. It's trying to show you a really, really quick look of what the lighting looks like in real time, very, very quickly. And it can cause your computer to go, no, I don't like any of that. And then, and then there you'll be. So, all right. So we've got some back here. I'm going to go ahead and parent. Let's see. I'm going to parent these two together, and then I'm going to parent them to his neck or to his chest. That way it all sticks together. And we'll go ahead and pose them out real quick. So you can always default the pose back to normal so that you can put my armor in correctly. So grab a quick pose so he's not looking so static. Let's see. Function stand-in pose. He's leaning. A lot of poses that come in some of these post packs aren't the best, man. They just look. Sometimes they can look very exaggerated in a bad way. Yeah, there you go. This is a good one. Oh, the casual stands here that's a sword and sorcery pose. They're pretty good. We'll grab them. He's got a shield on in that one. He kind of looks like a very heroic type pose. So we'll stick with this for now. Okay. File save. Save early, save often, because it will quit. All right, back to the viewport. Hopefully it won't cut off on me now. So we're going to go to surfaces again. I've selected the shoulder detail I want to mess with. I've got the detail that I want, and I have it selected under the surfaces tab. Now I'm flicking back over to my shaders. I'm going to array, and we're going to pick metal. And the Mech 4D PBS shaders are pretty good. And there are a ton of them. They give you a lot of different looks. All right. Let's be nice and not cut off. Not while I'm on stream. Just do it when no one's around. All right. Iron armor brushed. Let's see what that looks like. I like kind of dull armor. And that's all right. It's a little dark for my taste. That's okay. I can go back up through here and look for gold brushed. See if I see, that's a bit too heroic for me. You can oftentimes go into the base color, and you can sometimes choose colors here to augment it out, depending on the base color here. So, but it being all black, there's nothing I can really do over here that's going to make this change. Oops. That's the wrong button, sorry. All right. That's all right. I wish it had a little bit more detail to it. And so I know I'm going to have a shader in here that's going to probably be the color I need. So type in Dusty and pull up all the Dusties that are in the shader pack. And you just kind of go shopping, start clicking. Sometimes what you see over here in the icon tab is not what you see over here. So it's good to test it out and to click and see. So like I'm choosing titanium dusty here, and it's kind of got a matte finish that does show the armor detail that I like. With it being a light color here, I can choose a color. I can double click in the base color and choose a color, and it will try to put it in. Sometimes it doesn't. Told you, I don't know anything about DAZ. I know why it's doing that. It's because this base color right here is black. That's why it's not letting me adjust it. If that was a different base color JPEG or tape, it would let me do it. But that's okay. I still like that titanium dusty. I think that's not a bad color. And I can darken that in Photoshop if I need to. So we're going to select the next one here above it, this other piece you remember that I parented. I'm going to select it, same thing, and it shuts down on me. Didn't expect these issues with the stream tonight. I'm sorry. I done my test earlier in the day, and it seemed to, earlier this week, and it seemed to work well and not have any issues. But that's PC for you too. So let it open up, and we'll continue on. Because I wanted to show y'all the texturing aspect. I wanted to show you the lighting that you can get with the texturing aspect. And then I wanted to show you a little bit of lighting. So I wanted to kind of cover a lot of things within an hour, and we're kind of coming up on the hour mark. So, but we know we had the titanium dusty color. So we'll select both. I'm going to select both of them now versus doing one at a time. I'm going to hold shift down, and I'm going to select my 146 detail 150, go down to my surface tab, and again, hold shift down and select both of them. And again, that pulls up my shaders. Go to array. I'm going to pick metal. It was the Mech 4Ds, right? Yeah. And we went with the dusty shaders. I like the duller metals. I don't like the strong shiny chromy metals. I like them to be a little bit more dull, or a little bit more used and worn. So, all right, so those are selected. I'm going to do the same thing with these two. I'm going to select the one, hold shift down, select the other one, same thing. In my surface tab, select one, hold shift, grab the other one, choose titanium dusty, and now I have it in here. His outfit here, the armor, like I said, you can do this with any asset in DAZ. And the one cool thing about when you start getting into these, some of the assets from DAZ, they'll have multiple surfaces that you can select or not select. And so I've selected my chest plate, and I'm down here in my services tab, and I've selected it, but I've got chest plate and straps. I don't want to mess with my straps. I want to mess with the chest plate only. I only want the chest plate to be that titanium dusty. And now my straps will remain the same color that they were. If I wanted my straps, let's say straps, I wanted them to be a different type of fabric, I can go here to my fabrics, and let's see, File save. In case it decides to be unkind to me again, I won't have to step back in this direction. Pull up NVIDIA. And my straps, let's choose fabric real quick. The ragged fabrics are pretty good. That's an asset pack I picked up. I'm going to choose the white one here. And now it kind of looks like it matches. I don't really like that, so choose a dark one to get some contrast. That's okay. You can click through here and see what you like. I do like the original colors that came with the shader. I like those kind of military green. So I'm going to leave it alone, but you can adjust that. You can adjust that inside DAZ. All right. And I think this color is going to be a bit lighter than what I want. So in Photoshop, I will go in and probably adjust that a little bit darker. But again, remember I told you about having a kit back or a hodgepodge type of textures. His forearms here. We're going to select left hand and go back to my metals. Actually, I'm going to select both of them because it's all going to be the same color. Make 4D right here. Type in Dusty. Pull up those Dusty shaders again. Titanium. And now I've got it all matching. So that's coming along pretty much like I want it to. I do think the armor is a little bit bright, and it does lack some detail, which we'll put that in Photoshop when we get into it. All right, 2 more things I wanted to show you before we end tonight's stream was adding some lighting to an object and then doing some dynamic lighting on him. So I have these 2 Mega Kit Bash Details 3061. I'm going to make another one. Let me go ahead and just pop out the NVIDIA array. I'm going to make another one here, duplicate node hierarchies. And I'm going to put this one. Oops, I duplicated the wrong one. I just want to duplicate one piece. No. All right, so I've got my second piece here, you can see. And I'm going to put this in his bag, behind his neck, because that's where I want the light to come from. I'm going to mess with the scale a little bit, and I'm going to align it. Kind of put it in the wall of his neck armor. I'm going to adjust my scale, my Z scales and stuff to, again, kind of just push it into the wall there so it kind of has a back. So it kind of just blends into it. And I'm going to name this neck light so that I know where it's at. Go back to my Surfaces tab, choose neck light. And I'm going to go to my lights. I've got a couple different light textures. Simple emissive light shaders is the set I use a whole bunch. And we're going to choose, let's just try this kind of a yellowy, soft white light. And you'll see it lights up back here in the back. Right, it turns white. And that lets me know it's not quite centered up like it needs to. And that's okay if it's not quite centered. I need it to be close. All right, so it's behind me. Okay. So now, file save. So in case this thing shuts off on me. All right, and now go back to the NVIDIA array. And you're going to see this light illuminate the back of his neck. It may be a bit bright. We may have to dull it down. But that gives you an idea of where I'm headed. I think I'm going to end up choosing this thing to be a red light, maybe. Let's go with 1K 1000. That's okay. It's a bit bright too. Yeah. Things that you can adjust inside of DAZ. or with the lighting, is once you have this selected, you can go down here to the bottom, and you're going to be looking at luminance and the emissive temperature. Right now it's at 1, and we can drag it up to like 10,000, turns it white. And drag it back down, and we should go back to red. Should anyways. You can change the emission color to anything you want. It doesn't have to be red. It can be, just whatever color you want to be in it. You'll notice though that as I'm doing this, the blue light really doesn't reflect off his face right now, and that's because the luminance is at 100. You'll see a little bit in the metal texture there. If I drag this to, let's just type in, let's do 1,000, and it's gonna crank up and really start to illuminate around him. Let's go 10,000. Now, because the textures on the skin on these people is a little bit translucent, the blue is coming through his face. Let's do 50,000. And see, this is just pushing it. We're blowing it out way bad. But you can mess with this, and sometimes you have to be like, if that's 50,000, sometimes you have to be into the 100,000s or 200,000s to get the color you're looking for. It just kind of depends. You have to go in there and play with that number. But I think 1,000 was good, if I remember right. 1,000 was good. I don't mind the blue, so I'm gonna leave it for now. So now we've got some shading on him. It actually may be a bit too strong. I might need to knock it down just a little bit, because I am getting some reflection, and I'm not sure if it's coming off the corner of this metal, reflecting on his skin there, or if it's shining through his face. All right. Last but not least, let's put some lighting on this guy. Lighting is a huge part of getting a good render and getting a good mood and a good overall vibe in a piece. And if you can nail the lighting, half your work is done for you already. I mean, it really helps a piece come to life. I'm trying to adjust his color just a little bit. Yeah. All right. We'll go with that. All right. File save. Let's throw some lighting on here. I chose that environment lighting originally just to see what my textures are going to kind of look like, just to get an idea of what I was going to work with, which that's the Uber environment here and Distant Light were the two that I added from the Battleground set. But now I'm going to go to my lighting products and pull up some of those to see what I've got available. One of my favorite ones to use is the Film Noir Portrait Studio. It gets some really good, strong, dynamic lighting that I often like in my pieces. Lighting preset 14. Let's try that out. All right, file, save, so don't cut off on me. Won't be gone. And all I did was pull this product up, select the lighting rig I wanted, and it puts it in for me. And then I can go in and I can adjust these things and go from there. And right now this is too bright for him. From there I start piddling turn lights on and turn lights off, and DAZ crashes. And it's like my fourth crash tonight during this stream. This is crazy, man. Maybe I should have used the public build and not the static. Not the main one. For the longest time, I used the public build and hardly ever used the mainline software. I think it was DAZ 4.12. I could hardly ever get it to stay consistent. It crashed a lot, had a lot of issues. But my public build You know, it ran fine. I'm not really sure why, but it did. And so I might need to switch back to the public build here. All right. We did save our lighting. Yeah. All right. All right. Back to NVIDIA. All right. One of the things happening here, this is kind of blown out. So I would normally start turning lights on, turn lights off. One of the things you need to make sure you do before you do that is make sure you're on the right environment mode. So here I've got dome and scene on already, which means that it's using all these lights, which are my scene lights, and then it's using my dome lights, which are my Uber environment and my distant light. I don't need that. I need to be one or the other. So if I choose dome only, it's going to go back to what we saw earlier. So let's choose dome only and see. Now we're back at, we're back to where we saw kind of the same lighting we had earlier. And we're also back to this thing looking blown out. That blue is very finicky. Let's knock this thing down to 500. Let's do 250. We'll do 250 for now. All right. So we're back to the same one. Now if I choose scene only, it's going to give me a different look. And now you start getting a different dynamic lighting. So file, save. And you can see some of the scratches and stuff that come with that dusty titanium metal. They show up here in this lighting pretty well. So we're going to hide this first spotlight. And we're going to cut off again. Are you kidding me, man? It's amazing. We're going to try it one more time. And if it messes up, I may have to save lighting for a different video. Or maybe record a video and post it versus trying to live stream it. One more again. Because I generally like to keep my streams to about an hour just because people have other lives and you don't want to spend 2 hours, 3 hours watching somebody mess around in DAZ. So I'll give us one more shot. I will not hide spotlight number 1. We'll hide spotlight number 2. See if that helps it any. Oh, one of the things I need to do, I need to make a camera. So add my camera, select, I like the view that I have here, this up, angled up view. I'm going to select apply active viewport or active viewport transform. So it selects that angle. Now I got it saved. So now if I come back into it and it crashes, I can always pull that same angle back up. Save it, because heaven forbid if it crashes. I can hide spotlight number 1 now. There we go. We'll hide it when we're not inside of the NVIDIA I-rated viewport. And that's not bad. That lighting right there, I like that top-down kind of lighting. I like the deep shadows that we're getting here in his eyes, or where his eyes are at. He looks a bit overweight, kind of blowing out. He's kind of blowing out his body armor here. So I may go back and adjust his midsection just a little bit. What I'm going to do now, this light here that I put in here, the spotlight number 2, we can go down here to color and let's choose yellow. That's a bit strong. What's the intensity of the light? We'll take it down to 3. How is that? 25. Closed again. I don't think it's wanting to do the lighting tonight, guys. I'm sorry. It's a bit frustrating. I can do it. I can adjust the lighting and turn it back on and off and turn the I-ray viewport on and off before I make an adjustment, and it'll do fine. But I wanted you guys to be able to see it in real time because that's how I normally operate with it. It usually handles it really well in real time. But I know the extra streaming capacity here is putting a little bit extra effort on my computer. Okay. See, now I can go back to my camera. Bam, get to that angle I wanted. We were messing with, we hid this spotlight here. We were messing with spotlight number 2. Oops. Spotlight number 2. Oh, no, spotlight number 2, not spotlight 1, 2, spotlight number 2. I'm gonna turn this a little bit. All right, go down to surfaces here, or not surfaces, parameters. And we had chosen a yellow. Let's do that color yellow, and the intensity was 25. We're going to take it down to 10. And let's see what we get when we do the viewport here. And then next time I'll just take the viewport back off, and that'll save me the problem of having to lose it. That's not bad. It's giving me a nice little rim light there. Let's go to 15. Oh shit, nope. Wait a minute. Texture. Now let's go to 15. We'll swap it back to the viewport again and see the rim light. Yeah, that's not a bad lighting rig right there. I'm not sure now that I see the blue that I like the blue behind him. I definitely like the warm rim light that it's kind of giving me with the cooler tones that are more pervasive. But I may have to piddle with that. But like I said, that's coming along really well. So, and that's pretty much how I start all my jobs. And that's kind of my workflow here in Daz. Depending on the job that comes my way, I don't always pull in different assets from different products. I do try to do that again to keep my work varied and keep my work a little bit more diverse instead of just pulling it all in Daz and pulling it all, just in those assets. So that pretty much ends it, guys. That puts us out. We were past the hour by hour and 10 minutes. I didn't want to go any longer than that. And that'll wrap us up for tonight. I really appreciate anybody who watched. I appreciate you guys coming out, and anybody who sees it in the future, thank you again for watching, and we'll talk to y'all later.